All right, then there was a bit of a hush. Welcome to everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight to Entain at Bowen Hills in Brisbane. Thank you to those joining us online as well via the Zoom call. I'm just going to position myself so I'm in frame. Speakers do remember that as well. We are very privileged to have a couple of interstate visitors who have flown in specially to be with us tonight. Actually, we have Jess Renden from Cointree, who's going to be sharing a bit about her journey navigating the regulatory landscape and some other things, I'm sure. And we also have Erez Rachamim. Where is Erez? Oh, there he is. Sorry, I lost you there. Erez Rachamim has also flown up, I think, from Sydney, especially to be with us. And we're really pleased to have that participation by Stables tonight as well. So we are all things blockchain. We pride ourselves on being a chain agnostic meetup. So I'm just trying to get the pointer to point at the right thing. Maybe. Tonight, that is the agenda. We're going to hear from Jess, Erez, we're going to have Q&A, and then we're going to have the Stables giveaway, which Danielle's going to run with you. And there's still time. Do you want me to mention the QR code? There's still time to scan the QR code, which you might have seen just on an A4 sheet stuck to the wall. Oh, there's another one over there. Thank you, Rex. If you want to do that, I think you just need to go through a little KYC, AML type process to get that signed up. And there's a code there too, but that might help. So you can sign up that way, as long as you put the ATB code in. For the purposes of participating in the giveaway tonight, you might also like to sign up as a Stables or indeed a Cointree customer at any stage. So as I mentioned, all things blockchain, we are chain agnostic. There are no maxis here, and if we are, well, we keep it to ourselves. We don't beat other people over the head with it. So we love to bring people together, and really we run what we like to think of as hopefully educational events and events that just spread the good word of blockchain and try to get the right messages out there, at least the messages we think are right. And I'm just trying to get this clicker to click when I want it to. Pointing at where's the click share? Can you maybe move that mic if you could? It might be blocking the click share, the path. Maybe. Otherwise, I might have to get you to do the next button thing, please, Daniel. Is it on that one? There we go. This doesn't happen by itself. So we have a committee of people who are working behind the scenes to bring these events to you. And we thank each and every one of them. You might have met Jennifer on the way up, coming through in the lift. We also have other able volunteers such as Rex, who came all the way from the Sunshine Coast and was still here, the first person here to help us out today. So thank you very much, Rex. Rex has become a staple at each event. And it also wouldn't happen without our sponsors. So we are coming up to sponsorship renewals for next year. So we might be reaching out to some of you gathered in the room to talk about sponsorship packages for 2024. And none of this would happen without those. We basically have two offerings. We have one, which is a standing like a small offering just to have your logo featured here and a couple of other branding opportunities. And then we do also offer a full event sponsorship deal where your organization gets to be branded as the event basically for one night. And we put on some extra special food and such things. But we thank all of our sponsors there. And of course, our two presenting companies tonight as well. Danielle, I believe this is you actually. Have I jumped ahead? Let's get Danielle up to talk about events upcoming.
Thank you very much, Matt. Yeah, I get the job of telling you about all the very exciting events that are coming up. So save the date, December 9th. We have a community Christmas party coming up. I'm not going to give away too many big announcements, but we are partnering up with Blockchain Australia in discussions with Labyrinth, who's also in the room, and a few other community members that we're going to be all coming together and doing a pretty big, amazing Christmas party. So stay tuned for those details. They're in the works. Also, the blockies. Just a show of hands, who here works for a company that is in the Web3 space? Okay, so if you have not already nominated somebody or nominated yourself, whether you're an individual or a company, I highly recommend that you get on their website and take a look. I'm not going to go through all the categories, but you've got individual and business categories. So get on there. They close on the 18th of September, so you don't have very much time. They're going to be hosted in November 9th, which is just before the Australian Crypto Convention. Which, just at a show of hands, who is going to the Australian Crypto Convention? All right, we've got a good few people in the room. If you want to go and you don't already have a ticket, we do have a code ATB23 for a 20% discount. It's in Melbourne. It's 3 days, 2 days, 2 days. I'm thinking I'm there for 4 days because I'm there for the blockies. There is some community events that are happening on the Friday, and then it's the Saturday and the Sunday. So it's a pretty big 4 days of everything crypto and blockchain. I just want to quickly mention a new initiative that I'm starting, Women in Digital Economy. And we'll be starting to run, even though we haven't announced our first event, we're going to be doing a whole different series of educational events. They're going to be a little bit different than these events. They're going to be purely educational based and primarily focused on bringing more women into the ecosystem, but we're also going to be having a male allies program and bringing on some male mentors. So for all of the men that are in the room, I still encourage you to reach out to me and see how you can get involved. So watch this space and some more events coming from Women in Digital Economy. So next, I'm going to be bringing up Jess. I'm so excited that she came all the way down from Melbourne. She's so vibrant. She's amazing. And I'm actually really excited to learn a little bit more about Cointree. So everyone, let's give her a big Queensland welcome. Welcome to Jess.
Now you've handed this to me the other way. I'm like, which way am I going? All right. Hang on. Here we go. All right. I've had strict instructions that I'm not allowed to gallivant across the stage and I have to keep the mic here. So let's see how I go. All right. So thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be up here from freezing Melbourne, 11 degrees, just in case you wanted to know, compared to this beautiful weather that we've got up here today. So, but thanks Danielle and Matt for inviting me. It's a pleasure. 10, 15 minutes, I'm going to give you a quick run through about Cointree, who we are, what we do, but actually just more importantly, a bit more about crypto, regulatory space, debanking, things like that. Just before I get started, a quick show of hands, who trades crypto? Nice, nice. I would expect there would be a lot of hands, but just to double check. All right, perfect. Well, for those of you who don't know who we are a Melbourne-based exchange. We're actually going to have our 10th birthday in December. So we're established in 2023, Melbourne born and bred. And it's been, I'll just say, oh, go back. Sorry, there we go. And it's been a journey to say the least. So yeah, feedback as well, the white on the green. Yeah, I'll talk to marketing. It looked pretty, okay. No, it looked pretty. Yeah, so sorry. I'll read through it anyway. So Melbourne born and bred. So a little bit about me, CEO. But when I started Cointree, I actually just took a leap of faith from traditional finance and I thought it's time for a change, and a role came up quite coincidentally to grow the business. And I thought, why not? Let's give it a go. I'm human resources background and operations, and I had no idea what a Bitcoin was. I actually thought they were mined in a traditional mine in Perth. So you can see it's been quite a long journey. But I guess jokes aside, I knew that there was something coming in this economy and it was going to be digital. And so coming from the traditional accounting sector, finance, and working with, your accountants and traditional financial planners and that, I knew that there was time to be involved in something like this. And so I worked alongside the founder for the last 6.5 years building Cointree. We have over 240 digital assets. And I'd like to point out here as well that we actually also have the ability to buy bullion gold through our platform. And not all the exchanges can say the same. It's not tokenized. It is actually real bullion gold. And that's just the first step for someone like us to start to offer even other types of assets, but to be able to acquire them digitally. Our mission, though, is to make getting into crypto as easy as possible. And I know then for many of you that might trade, you might use all different types of exchanges. There's a lot of us in Australia. There's overseas competitors, and then there's your top 10 Australian exchanges too. I think you're lucky that you've actually got such a choice really to work with. But from our mission, it is to make it nice and easy. If anyone has an account, you'll be able to see we've got a really smooth UI. And if you don't, you will sign up after this tonight with your promo codes. But I guess our main mission is actually to build on from just being an exchange and actually provide our customers with a tool set that complements your crypto journey. And that can be anything from all your tax reporting, different types of integrations, different types of assets as well. But enough about us. I know there's been some really interesting things in the world of debanking lately. Now, I don't know, I don't know if anyone's been exposed to any issues with deposits and that with crypto exchanges, but just to take a step back, debanking comes in, I guess, multiple forms. In the world of crypto companies can and actually do get debanked regularly. And that's not just by your traditional main banks. It's actually something that can happen from smaller banks, and it happens with no notice as well. But what we have found more recently is with the events that have sort of taken place around from May this year, is that customers and individuals are now being debanked, or also being, I guess, restricted with what you can transact and who you can transact with. Now, as one, I'd call Cointree, we're a mid-tier exchange in the scope of the exchanges within Australia. But it's something that I'm really, really passionate about, is trying to work through this issue, because not only cryptocurrency was meant to be able to be given as that freedom for your own financial wealth and being able to make those choices and decisions on where you send it. There have been other regulatory reasons, and as you'll see my point there about scams and fraud, which I'll touch on shortly as well, that has grown significantly, particularly this year. But to just take it back, debanking is such a terrible thing for anyone to go through. I know back when I was joining Cointree in 2018, we were trying to set up bank accounts with multiple banks. So Westpac, NAB, and I would go into the bank and I would be smiling. Yes, I'm an internet business. Yes, like, and just for context for everyone, we are an ASIC, we're a registered Australian company. We work with the ATO, we report to AUSTRAC. So within Australia, like, we obviously meet all those regulations. You go in, get your bank account, 2 days later, come down, pick up your check. And you go, what? Why? Oh, you do crypto. And I go, so what? And they go, we don't want you. Come pick up your check. And no joke, in the Melbourne CBD, I wandered down to the bank, I got my check, and I crossed the road, and I set up a new account with someone else. And we went through, I think, 68, 70 bank accounts. Can you imagine running a business like that? It's pretty crazy. And this isn't stuff that people talk about now. And that was back in 2018 and 2019. Now, I will say, thank heavens for the payment service providers that Australia has now. They support the crypto ecosystem. It has made your lives easier because you can transact with us. And we have really good solutions in place. However, the banks are coming back up again, and they have their reasons for that, because scams and frauds have obviously been really, really prevalent in the last 12 months, particularly. And it's not to say that crypto is the problem, because crypto isn't the problem. It is the fraudsters and the scammers that are the problem, that are using multiple methods to come into individuals' lives to try and persuade them to transact, to take their assets. And so debanking has been a topic that I think I've been asked to talk about it probably about 10 times now. And we are working with banks, we're working with the regulators, and the banks are really open to have the conversations now, because they do want to make sure that they do work with us to try and have a solution here to support Australians with cryptocurrency. But it's a slow process. It's something that won't happen overnight. And so I'm sure some of you have been impacted, like I mentioned before, and it makes that harder for yourselves. But it makes it really hard for us to run a business as well if our customers can't deposit funds. And so I guess, as from running a crypto exchange, which is a 24/7 business, and it's 24/7, it doesn't stop, it never sleeps, it's a roller coaster. But oddly, probably another love of my life besides my daughter, husband, and my beast of a German Shepherd that's 2 years old. It's something that we all live and breathe. And so the landscape has been really challenging. There are positive steps, though, that are taking place, and that takes me to regulation as well. So regulation within Australia is obviously there. Well, there is no licensing for digital currency exchanges. So, and I'm sure we've got different varying levels here of knowledge in the room, but we are unregulated. So again, I'm running around with 68 different bank accounts I've had to set up, and I'm self-regulating a business because we don't have that regulation in place. And so that has been something that I'm actually really proud to say, that the crypto ecosystem has actually built some really, really strong footholds here that actually help protect you all as consumers with the platforms that you would trade with. And we are all on the forefront on trying to get this regulation in place. And so coming from traditional finance myself, I do believe there needs to be some regulation for crypto to go mainstream. I don't necessarily believe that the standard AFSL regulations that are in place for traditional assets can automatically be applied to cryptocurrency. But I do believe there's a really good middle ground that we'll be able to have that will then be able to add confidence and comfort for those that maybe aren't prepared to take the step into the crypto ecosystem yet. And it's something that not only are the regulators working on, and it covers many regulators, ATO, ASIC, AUSTRAC, ACCC, obviously just the Australian government in general. We've got Blockchain Australia, who also represent us as well. And then you've got the exchanges and the banks, payment service providers. There is a lot going on in the ecosystem to try and help and bring this together. And there are some really positive steps being made, which is the main thing. To talk about scams and fraud. So I'm sure everyone here has probably seen some of the really sketchy things that pop up on social media, the spam texts we all might get, people pretending to be your bank and click on this link. There's so many things that are taking place, and that many people I've seen have been unfortunately fallen for those as well. Our job as an exchange is to ensure that we are understanding all of our customers. And so you'll find when you sign up with us tonight, you'll find when trading with Cointree is that our team run through quite a exorbitant amount of questions these days to try and work through just in understanding the customer. But once that's done, we've actually got this beautiful suite of automation that runs and just makes sure it checks your addresses, where you're sending it, make sure your details are correct, runs any other sort of tricky little background checks that are going on and things like that, all to try and protect you now moving forward. And it's not to say we weren't doing that before, but I will say over the last 3 months, we've increased that heavily to ensure that we are trying to catch the scammers. And I'm really pleased to say that we've actually managed to help lots of, I guess, and there's the police as well. We all work with the federal police and the local police. And so there's been a really, really positive change in our industry, not just with Cointree, but all the other exchanges as well. And a fun fact that a lot of us, and if people are tuning in as well from home, we all are actually starting to work together. So there's a lot of us, and it's something that I haven't seen in my 6.5 years of being in this business actually start to take place as it has now. We're all working together. We're trying to build something because we all believe in this ecosystem. It's just about how we're all going to get there, and we're all going to work together to do that. So just quickly, what does the next 12 months bring? Regulation will start to take place. I won't get too dry on where everything's sitting at the moment, but there obviously have been lots of papers and submissions made to the government to try and make that happen. And I do believe that there will be some regulation that will start to come into play within the next probably 12 to 24 months in that space. StableCoins, you're going to hear more about that in a moment. I'll leave that to Erez to talk about a little bit about StableCoins. But if you don't know what StableCoins are, I'm sure, have you all heard of USDT? Yes, nods, yep. Yeah, and there are some Australian equivalents that have been created as well. So there's AUDD, and there's a few that have been built by the banks as well. So this is the beginning of being able to have a digital asset that's pegged to a currency. But then there's also the beauty, and again, won't steal Erez's thunder, but and being able, I'm standing in front of your banner. That's like a self-promotion here. I may have left mine in the boot of my car at home. But being able to transact on credit cards. So there's credit cards, there's Apple Pay, there's all sorts of other payment methods which are available, which in the past it just wasn't a possibility. And so, being able to instantly transact with your crypto is really what we all want. There's lots of people that buy and hold it, but the main question I get is, why do I have it? It's a store of value, okay, but why? What can I do with it? It's not a tangible asset, so why am I buying it? What can I do with it? And so the beauty of being able to transact utilizing a credit card is just one step into the future. And then CBDCs, which is the central bank digital currency. Now, the speculative side of me is that the banks are all working through this, and so they should. I'm sure the banks will work through having their centralized version of a digital currency. However, I do think there's a place for all of these: crypto, stable coins, and your centralized bank digital currency, if that's what you would prefer to transact with. Obviously, I'm an extreme crypto enthusiast here, so I do believe in the technology and what crypto's been built upon and the beauty behind so many tokens that there are. It's incredible the way that these have been built, and way over my head on how that even gets done. But there are some really incredible projects out there. Bitcoin halving. So I don't know if many people know about the Bitcoin halving, but there's been 3 so far. And someone correct me, 4? Erez, 4? Okay. Oh, no, this will be the 4th. Yeah, sorry, I said there's been 3. Just okay. Apologies. Correction. 2012, 2016, 2020, and 2024. So we've found typically that when this event takes place, that usually around that time there is, and I've got here my little question mark on when will be the next bull run, but there is typically, the market typically picks up around those periods of time. And they're all part of those crypto cycles that we all see. And they are consistent to be those 4-year cycles. I've ridden a few of those myself. I'll say they're insane. When the market runs and it pumps, the business is insane. You've got people left, right, and center. How do we keep up? Everyone's excited. Meetups like this, which is an incredible turnout, by the way, are probably even tripled because everyone's like, yes, crypto, let's get in. And running the business is just insanity. It's exciting, but it's also part of the cycle. And we've just been through the of the cycle. And I am pleased to be standing here still today. But we believe, and I should preface with that, I haven't given any financial advice tonight, so please don't take financial advice. However, the inner inklings are that within the next 7 to 8 months, we will see the market start to be a bit more exciting. I would call it quite bland. It's very vanilla at the moment. Everyone at work's like, oh, there's nothing exciting to buy. So flat, like, come on, we've got to get out of this rut. And so that's where I see things moving in just a quick summary over the next 12 months. I guess before I wrap up, my point was just to give you a bit of a general context on where things are at in the industry, how things are progressing. If you do want to talk about crypto specific, how the exchange works, and all of those details, grab me. I'm here. I'm hanging around tonight. This is for your $20 in Bitcoin. Scan, sign up, or use the code, either or, QR code, or use the code, and we'll credit your account with $20 of Bitcoin, and you can start your crypto journey with us and see how it goes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jess. I know myself, I have a lot of questions, but I'm going to hold off on those questions. And if anybody has questions, please hold on to them because we're going to do a little Q&A at the end. So next up, we are going to bring up Erez from Stables. Now, I just want to give a little tip for those of you that are going to have a little play with the quiz that we're going to be doing tonight. To win, we're giving away $500 in USDC. Top prize $250, second prize $150, and $100. And now, in order to be eligible for that, you do have to have a verified account. So if you haven't done it already, now's your time. But I would also listen very carefully to some of the words that he says. So let's bring up Erez. Let's give him a round of applause.
Don't listen to my words too carefully, or else you'll fall asleep. Okay. Nice. All right, we'll go back.
Oh, and don't forget to hold it really close.
Does it go back? Yes. Lovely. Okay. Great to be here. Really, in a bull run, to see so many interested, lively faces this evening is really energetic. Pardon? What did I say in a bull run? Okay. Don't listen to what I'm saying. I caveat that straight off the bat, but Sydney's not as chilly as Melbourne, but I still really enjoy Melbourne. Solid 20 degrees, pretty sunny like Brisbane, but I could take my jacket off here, which was great. So thank you, Danielle, for having us, and or me. I don't go by they, but Erez will do. So, I thought we'd kind of start off tonight. I've got 10 minutes. I thought I had 5. So I'll give it my best shot. But who here tonight at least has heard of Bitcoin? Okay, nice. All right, I've heard about it as well a couple times. So actually, I was watching a podcast or listening to a podcast pretty recently, and this chap, he said, right, what's so important about Bitcoin? Why did it kind of proliferate? And statistically, what's kind of, what is the reason that it came about? I thought, actually, I haven't asked this to like a crowd before, but I thought maybe someone has an answer for me. There's no right answer. USD is a Ponzi scheme, good one. Store of value. It was first, that's a good one. I think that those are all relevant, right? And again, there's no wrong answer. One thing I would also say would be, and this to me is really cool, is you could transact peer-to-peer with no middleman. Sure, it's volatile, but you didn't need a bank, you didn't need Swift, you didn't need any number of things. A number of years later, then stablecoins came along, right? And stablecoins today have a lot of different, okay, so now I'm giving out. So they have a lot of different relevant statistics, right? Stablecoins last calendar year, 2022, how much on-chain volume was settled? Do we know? Okay, a lot. It was a lot. It was about 11 trillion last calendar year. All right. Now, if you know, Visa's probably about as big as it gets in terms of payment companies. Who knows how much volume Visa settled? 11.6 trillion. I'm not going to I don't know if you remembered it, Margaret, that'd be good, but 11.6 trillion. Okay. PayPal, 1.6 trillion. MasterCard, 7 trillion. Okay. So peer-to-peer transfers without any middlemen last year almost beat MasterCard in kind of volume settled without any middlemen. So in terms of crypto and stable coins, including, so all on-chain volume was 11 trillion last calendar year across all stable coins. So not just USDT or USDC, but the majority of volume would be. Significant amount of volume is in USDT as opposed to USDC. So USDC and USDT account for, and I checked it this morning roughly, and yes, I check it every morning. No, I don't, but 108 billion in total market cap. The total market cap of stablecoins are roughly 120 billion. So they account for kind of 90% of all stablecoins, USDC and USDT, but USDT accounts for far more volume than USDC. The reason being is it just has more pairs. So you can do a lot more with your USDT trading wise, but people hold USDC for longer periods of time. It has lower turnover like yourself. That's great. So in terms of stables, and I'm one of the founders of Stables, like as I said, it's great to be supporting community, hearing questions and feedback, and there's a lot of people in the room that have used our product and things like that. But for the people who haven't, that's why I'm here. And it's so exciting to be at this stage. Like, so we're a kind of a Australian startup. We started in 2021. Remember that if you, we have a team of about 18, all in Sydney. We're venture capital backed. So we've raised something like $7.5 million today to have plenty of runway to go. And in the last couple of weeks, we've done a bit of a roadshow, and really kind of pushing this product, because from our core user base, what we're finding is that it's kind of a little bit of a nail on the head for certain people. And we don't do all of the things. We don't do trading. We don't do 240 different asset pairs. And that serves its purpose. It's very important that you use trusted exchanges. There's no doubt about that. But when we set out to build stables, the first person we hired was a guy who ran a bank. He was a chief risk officer of a bank. Our team has built the Pocketbook. I don't know if anyone's used Pocketbook or Zip Money apps. So we've navigated kind of regulation and financial technology, and then we kind of said, stablecoins are pretty cool. These trading volumes are increasing, market cap is increasing, but actually using them in your everyday lives is a little bit cumbersome. Typically will take a couple steps. That will involve cost and time. But fundamentally, like I started with Bitcoin, if you use this technology in a certain way, you can make it really simple, really fast, really cost effective for everyday people. And like, this is great. You know, if you're in a DEX or in a market making pool, or you're staking, or you're doing any number of things, that's great. But how do you get out of that ecosystem, and how do you get in? Easily, cost effectively, quickly, with security, with trust. And I think for stables, and I know for me, you know, we're looking at how the market is today, but if it was a bull run, or if it was, you know, a couple of years in the future, we believe stable coins are going to proliferate. You know, CBDCs are cool, you know, collateral backed stable coins are also pretty cool. Decentralized ones are cool, but with us, you can send any number in. We'll simplify that into one balance, and you can transact and use them in everyday lives. So yeah, you know, so far, thank you for listening. I appreciate that, but welcome to Stable. So we're going to kind of power through. So the main thing we do is with MasterCard in Australia, you can, you know, buy me a beer afterwards, or I can buy you a beer, but you know, you can pretty much spend your MasterCard. You can spend your stables anywhere MasterCard is accepted. Could be in Australia, could be in other countries. It's actually pretty much also very cost effective for you to spend overseas as it is in Australia. And that's deliberately so. So at Stables, you'll think about us, and, you know, I'm in Australia right now, and we're an Australian-based company, but really what we've built is something a little bit, you know, not bigger, but kind of more useful to more people. So in Australia, you can deposit AUD in and out, you can hold it in a wallet, and you can spend it, right? That's what I was showing before. But the wallet, the middle part, is actually live in 130 countries. And what people are doing globally is they're sending stable coins in, and they're bridging and swapping them out. It's a really simple kind of use case, but if you've ever bridged and swapped your stable coins, you know that there's actually quite a bit of friction there and a bit of complexity. With us, we make it as really, really simple. So the main thing is Australia is very cool, but there's a bigger play afoot. 130 countries you can download. Soon to be, you know, in 2 weeks' time, you'll be able to send money to the Philippines. By the end of the year, you'll be able to send money to Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Europe. All using stable coins in the back end, but you'll be using it as you are your regular app like Beam, or what's another one? Wise is a very good example. Or like if you've ever used PayPal, it's kind of like that, but it's built from the ground up with stable coins. One other thing I will mention is, nice. So they gave me the presentation, and I normally use a different one. So I'm trying to see what's next. Karen knows what I'm talking about. So one thing that makes us unique, and if I'm wrong, I want you to tell me about this, because I'm super curious to find out if it's not the case, right? But I'm pretty sure it is. So in Stables, what we do a little bit different to other people is Erez's wallet, or Jess's wallet, or Daniel's wallet, or Karen's wallet are all held in separate wallets. Your funds aren't commingled. they're separate from our company funds. In theory, if we were tragically to go bankrupt, your funds are separated from our funds. They're not commingled. They're not rehypothecated, so they're not like somewhere else. You can actually check that on chain. If you were to spend $5, you'll see $5 go out, right? So we don't make money off your money. It's your money. It's held securely, separate from our company funds. And our business model is based off transactions. So we typically charge a small fee, a competitive one, in and out of the platform. And what we're seeing people do every day is, yeah, it's cool to hold, but people just pretty much just go in and out, in and out, in and out. And that's, good for business, but also good for you because, you're using it for a particular thing. You're either depositing and spending, depositing, bridging, swapping. You're kind of doing some pretty deliberate actions. If you want to hold, it's also secure though. So, okay, in terms of structure, I'm going to get a bit linear with you all. So pretty much in stables, you can deposit any number on any number of chains, but you can also deposit fiat really quickly or automated in and out. We need to KYC you, super important. But once you're in, then it's quite straightforward from there. This is very cool. So in Australia, or actually in APAC, it's the first time that MasterCard has allowed a business to build with them so that when you spend out of your stables balance, you're actually not holding fiat. You're not holding AUD. If you send USDC in, you're holding USDC and you're spending out of your USDC. Very soon, we'll be settling with MasterCard and USDC. So we'll be settling with them in stablecoin. That allows less cost for you, less cost for us. We'll share that, but also much faster transaction times. And in terms of MasterCard, with who they partner with, they're pretty selective. So to do it the first time in APAC, first time in Europe, there's a reason for them to get involved. I'm not sure if you're clicking while I'm clicking to see if, but so, no. So, okay, cool. So once you're in the stables ecosystem, right? And for those of you who are curious and know blockchain, why are there middlemen? Why is it if I'm sending Danielle stablecoins, why does it need to go through like 3 or 4 different banks if it's not the same bank, right? Why am I sending money overseas and it's taking me a week? Why is it costing me 5%? Who knows what the average cost for remittance is globally, not just in Australia? It's not in the quiz. 13, good. Well, sub $1,000, it's between 10 and 15%. In general, Matt, come on, Matt. No, Jay. 7.6% on average remittances. But why? I looked at that and I thought, well, actually, how much money gets sent to the Philippines every year? Like $6 billion. Their average cost is 10%. Their average time is 5 days. Wait a minute. With stable coins, can't we do that within 30 minutes?
I'm just going to ask you a quick question. Is that because I've heard of these things called clearing houses, which apparently the US is trying to do a Fed now to move out the clearing houses? But is that where a lot of our costs are going, is to go to this clearing house, and that's where the time is because it's going to this clearing house and then they're taking a cut, which is to basically an intermediary. Is that why it's so high and it takes so long?
Kind of. Fed wire is domestic, kind of interstate. And interstate in the US, the banks don't talk to each other like we do in Australia. Like in Australia, we have a really good, really privileged banking digital infrastructure. So yeah, no? Oh yeah, so we do. No, so you're shaking your head and I was like, okay, maybe we don't. So no, but in seriousness though, in the US there's a bit of and other countries are kind of, so in Australia, right? We have digital payments. Each bank has a digital payment, but those digital payments talk to each other, which is the MPP rails. It's the same in India. It's the same in a couple of other countries, not in majority of Southeast Asia and not in the US, super fragmented. So when you're sending money, and I'm sending money to Karen, and Karen and I are not with ANZ, I will send you lots of money. it actually requires like 4 or 5 middlemen in between, right? But when you're sending stable coins or Bitcoin or digital assets, right, there shouldn't be any middlemen. It should be you sending to your family member. If you can build a certain infrastructure, should be directly peer-to-peer, should be pretty quick, should be pretty cheap. I mean, that's our take on it anyway. So that's what we've done. It's a lot of time. Yeah. 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 She's carrying cash back on the bus for 8 hours. Yeah. It's not, it's a global problem. Like in Argentina or Mexico, like they're holding US dollars in cash. It's not secure. You can come and steal that cash. When they're actually transacting it back into peso or to whatever currency, also getting charged a fair amount of money, much more than you would with stables to do that. So yeah, so in 2 weeks' time, you'll be able to send directly to the Gcash. You won't need to worry about your wallet address. You won't need to worry about any number of things with stables. You can just send it. Hopefully within 30 minutes, it'll arrive in their Gcash account. In the Philippines, 90% of people have a Gcash account. Only less than 45% have a actual bank account, right? So it's a really powerful kind of tool. So we'll be integrating with Gcash and any number of other ones. Okay. I don't think there's any more slides. No, I'm joking. Definitely slides. Okay, so this is coming. So Send is will be live by the end of this month, which is September. Earn is coming too. So if it wasn't enough that we give you a cost-effective, fast secure means of sending, storing, moving your stable coins, you'll also earn rewards. So you'll get like cashback, discounts, tiers of incentives. As you do more things, your fees will come down quite significantly as well. You'll get points and things. So that's all like a bit of a gamified experience. Hopefully, for example, in Brisbane, we'll have the pub down the road. So when we go get a beer, you get, 10% cash back to your wallet. So that's the type of stuff we're trying to do. And we have a code today. If you sign up, if you haven't already, you're not going to get $20. That's a generous offer. I would take that if I was you. But you will get 5 USDC. It's almost $8. It's still half of Jess's, but we have our banner here. So yeah. So yeah, in fairness, yeah. So I bring the banner. There is no, but I figured. So she gave me a shout out. I said you should sign up to Cointree. So yeah, so no, so there will be a kind of incentive and things like that, but otherwise just check it out for yourselves, and it's a bit of fun.
So I definitely have a couple of questions for Jess and for Erez. So if you please both join me on the stage. Last opportunity, because we will be doing the quiz afterwards. I'm sorry for all of the people that are online, but it's only eligible for people that are in the room to be able to play the quiz. So Jess, first question really quickly. What stable coins could people buy on Cointree?
Well, we have USDT and USDC, although you and I were having a debate about some of them before. So but out of the 240, we definitely have those. And just to talk about volumes, how Erez was quoting some crazy numbers before for a centralized exchange. For us, it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, maybe XRP, and USDT are like the biggest, I guess.
Okay, so that, and then quickly, because you operate in USDC, if I go to Cointree and I buy USDT and then I transfer my USDT to stables, do I have to worry about anything?
No. So you could send in USDC or USDT.
What about DAI? Could I send in DAI?
Coming? Yeah, coming,
Okay.
but not today. Today, if you download the app, you can deposit USDT or USDC. Pretty much straight away, it will come up with a balance, and you could, buy me a beer. The time it takes to go up the elevator, or I could buy you. But
All right.
so USDT is fine.
I'm going to hand it over. I see a couple of questions, but I have one last question for Jess before I hand over the mic. So I know you're talking a lot about debanking. One of my questions is because I've been hearing or seeing in a lot of the chats, are people, customers, not businesses, being debanked because they're sending into crypto. And I personally use ING Direct and I have no issues. Have you had any customers and, or could you share some experiences of where they ring you up and say, hey, my bank's told me I'm not allowed to transfer you any more crypto? And if so, what's your advice, or what, kind of guidance do you give them?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. So amongst a lot of the exchanges, and I guess overseas exchanges that operate in Australia and within us as well, we've noticed that some banks have different rules than others. And I guess it's their prerogative to make those choices. And so I think some of the clear ones have been that the CBA have restricted all accounts for any customer. And it doesn't matter if you have 3 accounts with them or a business account, you can only transact $10,000 a month in crypto assets on any exchange. So like I've got an SMSF because I'm from traditional finance, and so like I could only put in $10,000 under the SMSF, and I then personally couldn't trade. When it talks to the debanking, and we've seen lots of people actually in our Women in Crypto group as well express their frustrations and being interrogated by some other institutions about why they're trading it and where they're sending it. And again, I understand the premise is to reduce the scams and fraud. And so there's an understanding there. But there have been lots of other banking services that are available. You talked about Wise before. We've had people create Revolut, Wise accounts, all other types of accounts as well, where you can use, there's neobanks as well that you can sign up, to as well. And everyone has different rules. So I guess from that lens, we can see every bank account that everyone transacts from, and we have to run data on that to see where it's all coming from. So yeah, there are a few different options out there. And she's gone.
Errors. I did the sign up today really easy. It was really good. Thanks.
You demand Rex.
The lead time.
I did not, but he was generous enough to let me in this evening. This is great.
The lead time to see your funds in your account.
Nice. Did you just deposit funds? Oh,
I don't think he's talking about, actually, that's a good point because I haven't mentioned it. I don't think he's talking about the 5 USDC. I think he's just talking about in general.
Oh.
But for anybody that is wondering, if you signed up tonight, your 5 USDC will be in the next week.
Yeah. So one thing at a time. USDC, everyone who signs up gets 5 USDC. It'll be within a week. You'll get that USDC. Obviously, that's separate than if you're transferring in from your bank account, as Rex was asking. When I do it, right, from my bank, less than a minute every time. And in the back end, it's API automated, but also secure and efficient, right? So it should be within a minute. And then you
Is
can
that because it's Pay ID? Like, does it matter? Because I know when I use Pay ID with some of my exchanges, it's in a minute. But then if my another bank that I use doesn't support Pay ID, it might be a day or two. So does it depend on the bank and the rails that you're using?
It should typically be almost straight away. It can take a little bit longer. And this is not your question, but sometimes when you withdraw your stablecoin back into your bank, the first withdrawal can take up to 24 hours because of the payment rails. There's nothing to do with us because we send it out in AUD to your bank. But after the first one, it should be very fast from there. Yeah. I mean, there are reasons that all of these things exist, right? So like, do you want your money to be deposited instantly? We do, but we also want it to be securely and in the right way. So we do have safeguards there. That's why you verify your identity. Like, it is a little bit of a barrier, but it also ensures that we, you know, don't have any number of high risk individuals kind of transacting, and many other things that, you know, you don't want to be a part of, but we deal with on a daily basis. So
I have a question for each of you. First with Cointree, why don't you support DAI? I know SwiftX doesn't support it either, but it's like a huge coin. And is there some regulation behind that, or is it just?
It's a good question, and I actually don't have a great answer for you.
Okay.
I do know there are some coins, though, that if they tend to appear like they are connected either to a security or whether there's anything else connected to them. I don't know a lot about DAI, so I'm putting that out there as a precursor here. But again, if there's anything that looks like it would come up from that regulatory lens, we can't list it. But again, just to quickly clarify, between like CoinSpot, SwiftX, Cointree, we're all brokerage exchanges. So we operate within multiple liquidity providers. And then there are traditional exchanges which run their own actual exchange. So it would depend as well on what liquidity provider they would use and what pairs are available as well. And then the legal and regulatory side as well. Yeah.
And then the question for stables, is it fully custodial?
So yes, pretty much. So we hold everyone's wallet separately.
Yeah.
But we manage the keys. If you know what, does everyone know what non-custodial is? Most people, yeah. So you don't have to store your keys with us, but you do need other factors of authentication as you transact. We look at it as though, like, when we were thinking about, you know, what's the next waves of adoption and how we fit into that. You know, if you want to compete with non-custodial, I think MetaMask is actually pretty good, very good. But if you are, actually, good question. My question back to you is, how many Ethereum wallets are there uniquely, as opposed to how many digital wallets in the world? So we want to be a digital wallet. How many Ethereum unique addresses are there, roughly?
Yeah, a lot.
250 million, roughly, right? Digital wallets. Yeah, so not even active in total, 250 million. Digital wallets, I'm not sure why I give you all these statistics tonight, but here we are. 3.2 billion today in the world, like Gcash, like PayPal, other ones. So all of these ones are like 3.2 billion. We're sitting at 250 million. If we were non-custodial, we'd be sitting at 250 million for a while longer. You need something kind of in between. So you need something with security, but you also need something that's easy for people to use. And that's where we fit in.
It makes
That's what
sense
we've
with all the
tried to
different
do.
chains, as well. Like,
All right, I'm gonna pass it over here, but quick question. So Binance just announced that they're decommissioning BUSD. So what's your perspective on people, you know, buying certain, you know, like I have BUSD, like how do people know if a stable coin is actually not going to be decommissioned or not going to be there tomorrow, like Terra Luna or BUSDC? You know, if we're going to buy these or start investing in stable, not even invest, but, you know, put our money in stable coins thinking that they're stable, but they're really not.
It's a really good question. And so pretty much BUSD is a, you know, particular example. Terra is a particular example. Our thesis, and I don't know, Jess as well, probably also has her own view. I mean, our thesis and our investors' thesis are that stable coins in the years to come, like maybe in, I don't know if anyone knows, and I'm not going to ask this anymore, but 4 years ago, stablecoins had 0.46 billion, so 460 million in market cap. Today, they have 120 billion in market cap. In the next 3 to 5 years, we reckon they're going to be in the trillions of market cap. If we're right, also Bitcoin will be quite high. So we're bullish on that too. But as a result of that, we believe that stablecoins will come in many different shapes and forms. It's important for people to understand what shapes and forms these take. BUSD and the circumstances on BUSD are fundamentally very, very different and almost not comparable to Terra. Right? It's a really interesting thing that's happening with BUSD. BUSD was the third highest stable coin for a while. And now they're kind of not dropped off the face of the earth, but dropped significantly and soon will be decommissioned. Binance will allow you, which is really interesting, and I don't know if all of you know this, but Binance will start to enable trading in other types of stables as well. Yeah, so it's coming. And so, but yeah, so don't hold your BUSD until February. If you have it's not advisable. It's kind of a no-brainer because it won't be there. It won't be there anymore. If you have BUSD, there's a particular reason that occurred. Same for Terra. However, you know, stablecoins come in many different shapes and forms and sizes. For us, we like to focus on the biggest and most trusted ones, and then we'll start to branch out from there. But fundamentally, depegging is a risk.
I'm going to call out here that it's not just stable coins. It's crypto. Like there's lots of crypto assets as well that become immediately delisted and unsupported. It's the nature of our business. We have to deal with that a lot with no notice as well. So I think when you talk to the research and that you should do, everyone should do their research. It's so important. And yes, businesses like centralized exchanges, we have such a high level of due diligence to have to add another coin or another asset onto our platform. So again, I think that the point being is that working with the exchanges that are reputable and that, I guess you have done your research to know what you would like to trade and purchase. But again, trading anything and acquiring any type of asset, there's obviously still an element of risk, and businesses like ourselves try to mitigate as much as we can to do lots of due diligence on the asset and how it works. But yeah, it's not just stable coins that could depeg. It's a crypto asset could completely drop out of thin air. And we've had that as well with the exchanges we've worked with, and they've gone, you've got 20 days to get this asset off the platform. Like you can't trade it anymore. Bye. And so we have to immediately delist that pair, and it's not available, So I guess that's just my quick 2 cents worth. But I would say that you 100% need to do your research and understand what you're doing. It's really important.
Yeah, I have a question. Who here has used any other stablecoin except for you? I can see the dies coming up. Who's used anything other than USDC or USDT? Yeah, okay, quite a few. Okay, cool. Interesting. Through a DEX? Yeah, not through a centralized exchange. So typically through a centralized exchange. Oh, yeah, okay. Through a centralized exchange, you'll have a limited number of options. Then as you go further down the rabbit hole, you're going to have more options. Get more and more skeptical as you get further down the rabbit hole.
I don't even think that our topic, and we haven't gotten to that slide, next month is centralized versus decentralized. So we'll talk a lot more about that next month. I'm very wary that there's probably a lot of people sitting here wanting another beverage and also very eager to win their $500 in USD stable coins. So I'm going to hand it over to Curtis. He's got quick question. So anyone that has ANSI feet, don't worry, we're going to wrap it up. So last question from Curtis, then we're going to jump into the giveaway.
One quick one for both of you. Jess, when a client of yours transfers any coin out of the exchange to a private wallet, do you have to provide that information to the ATO?
No, we don't need to provide that information to the ATO, but I would say that as a business, we definitely will check where you're sending it. That's part of what we do. So we will validate that address with third-party software that we use to just ensure that it's not going to a compromised address. But otherwise, no, we don't provide that amount of information to the ATO. The information that's required is your basic, they're after the tax, the capital gains at the end of the day. So it's your basic, the basic transactional information, and that's a regulatory requirement of all operating exchanges in Australia. Yeah.
And on exchanging or trading stablecoins, is that a taxable event in Australia?
Yes. Yes.
At the standard capital, at the standard rate, 50% and held less than a year, and 25% over a year.
So these questions, Erez can answer them, but he's been told by his CRO not to answer any questions. Not any questions in general. Questions with regards to tax? You must ask your own tax professional.
Yeah.
If it was ERES and ERES's transactions, in the scheme of things for ERES, the AUD to USDC rate, in the scheme of things, is not as significant as what's going to occur with other digital assets for ERES. Yeah. So it's going to be a minuscule deviation over a year. It might be 5 to 10% over a year, up and down, or 3%, 1%, depending on the year. It's very different to your general capital gains that you're going to be incurring. So report to your tax authority for sure.
Speaking of tax authority, I know a very good one, and they're also one of our sponsors, Sila Tax. A little plug for them. They're not here, but they have a nice software. So I use them and they save me lots of money every year on my tax. But thank you so much, Jess from Cointree and Eris from Stables. They're coming all interstate up to Queensland to help us educate us. So let's give them a round of applause. Thank you very, very much. Thank you to everybody that has joined us online. We hope that you'll join us next time. It's our goal to try to expand and allow more people to tap into the community. So